Okay, we're on to the 7th video, at least I think it's the 7th. I've probably lost count by now, but we'll assume it's the 7th video. Now we're going to talk about a very important part of what needs to be done, because now we have to somehow bifurcate or split our market into two parts. The local buyer, off-island, mainland, foreign buyer. So there'll be two very distinct markets. The real estate in these markets will be valued and sold differently. So how do we accomplish that? Well, we already talked about how to get developers to build more homes and giving all kinds of concessions to developers, taking away the risk, giving them concessions in terms of density, zoning, etc. Any developer who gets concessions for density, zoning, parking requirements, any of those types of things should have to pay for it. Either pay for it in cash, which will go to affordable housing, or their project becomes 100% local in nature and stays in this program, not for 3 years or 10 years, forever. And now how do we do that? So as the developer comes in and he develops, if he's going to get the benefits of no risk, 100% financing, he has to keep the project in our affordable program. To do that, again, the property will be built, the property will be sold, there'll be a deed restriction that says, okay, you bought the unit and you were 100% of median income, or you bought the unit and you were 80% of the median income, okay? What happens now is that becomes a deed restriction, and when you sell, you have to sell at 80% of median income or 100% to another person in that income bracket. What we've done in doing that is we now have tied the price of these homes to the wages in the community. Realize your house is going to go up in value, but it's going to go up in value less than the outside market because you can only sell to local residents. And to me, that's a little bit of a bummer because I'm going to get less money. But if we didn't have this market, you couldn't afford to buy. So all we're saying is we're going to give you a break. The government's going to give you these concessions. The community's going to pay tax dollars to help you get into ownership. And in return, we want you to keep your unit. And as it goes up in value, 100% of that value is yours. But it's tied not to what a Japanese investor will pay, not what a mainland investor will pay, not what a second homeowner will pay. It's tied to what a resident in Hawaii can pay. I know as a local resident, I'd be willing to put my existing home in a program like that because I know it's going to stay affordable for the local community. We live on an island. We don't have a lot of land that we can go to. And for the uniqueness of our community, I think it's a reasonable concession for an affordable buyer to give, because the alternative is to rent and spend millions and millions of dollars in rent, or buy a property and probably spend a couple $100,000 in interest. The difference is the wealth that is created by ownership. We are going to give every one of our citizens a chance to create that wealth. And that wealth is what they can use, to travel, to buy other investments, to create more wealth, start a business, send their kids to school. So again, we're asking for a concession, but we are giving you much more back in the terms of the savings because we're putting you into home ownership. So again, we bifurcate our market. Everyone who builds under this program, the unit goes in. It has a deed restriction. It's a government affordable housing project. It can only be sold to local residents. It can only be sold to people in the same median income as you. So if a house is built and subsidized to bring it down to 30, 40, 50% of median income, when you sell, you're going to sell it to that same group. So you may buy the home today for $300,000. In 20 years, it may be worth $600,000 under this program. You get to sell it for $600,000. You get all that appreciation. If it was on the open market, maybe it's worth 8 or 9 or $1 million. So you lost or didn't get the full value if we were selling it to people off island. But to me, that's a small concession, and I think most local people would be willing to do it. So all the new homes that are being built, all the apartments being built under this program immediately go in. In the next tape, we're going to talk about how to bring existing homes into the program and widen the local market to create more units, more flexibility. This only works if we can get tens of thousands of units into this program. So we have to build tens of thousands, but we can also attract existing properties into the program. We're going to talk about that in a next tape. The key is if you're in the program and at some point you get a bigger family and you're in a one-bedroom apartment, you want to move to a 2 or 3 bedroom or a home, there should be a home or a market for you, a place for you to go. And so again, it's eventually I'd like to see all of our properties in this program. The reality is I suspect only 40–50% of our market will end up in that program, and the rest will stay in the other half of the program, which are market units. But our mission is to get as many units on the local side of the equation as possible. We know 40, 50, 60% of our population rents. Those people are definitely going to be in this program because that's their chance to get into real estate. So even if that market survives, even if that market stays, and remember when I talk about ownership, that includes property owners as well as renters, because renters are going to be in a tenant-owned building or co-op or condo. We're not going to allow investors to continue to take value away from our people. Everything we do is about creating value for our people, for the local residents, preserving that value, creating a better life, giving them value for the future, giving their children value, giving their families the ability to live decently in Hawaii, even if they're working for minimum wage or local wages. I mean, there should be no reason anyone who works should be able to buy under this program. And our job will be to finance it or make it work so we can get up to 95 or 100% owner-occupant. So again, splitting this market becomes very important, and you have to do it so it's legal and that you can, I don't want to say discriminate, but you can limit the market to the local taxpayer or the local individual. And again, if it's a government housing project, I can't imagine why we couldn't restrict it to owner-occupants or taxpayers. And again, there's a lot of people smarter than me, so that's where the attorneys and the accountants and everyone else can figure that out. The concept's the important one. We have to restrict a large percentage of all new construction, and we hope a large percentage of existing homes to where they're only available on this government-subsidized local market. Again, I thank you and see you in the next tape. Thank you.